right, welcome to the Highly Addictive Podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Josh.
I'm Troy.
And today we got Troy here as our guest, and it's pretty exciting. Yeah, you got, what are you, you're almost at 3 years here?
Yeah, it'll be 3 years, December 5th.
Nice. Yeah. And Troy's a real interesting guy. I mean, he got really good recovery. You know, I think you're doing a 12-step call before. I mean, you're always helping guys out. You're sponsoring guys, real active in the community. You just took on activities chair.
Yeah, I just got back from my GSR meeting and went to area and in my second GSR meeting, and they threw me into a big position for activities chair. So that's all right.
So I mean that's kind of what we want people who are active in the recovery community, who have good recovery. That's first and foremost, but also people who have an interesting story, right, and have gone through a lot, and that's definitely part of your story is some interesting stuff. I mean, one thing is in the couple of years that I've been around and known you, like you've definitely it's interesting when you see the recovery in other people. I mean, 'cause I remember like early on, like you're pretty fucking squirrely.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I don't know, I'm the all or nothing addict. So why should my recovery be any different, right? Like even with squirreliness at the beginning, obviously I couldn't even sit in a chair for more than fucking 2 minutes, or I couldn't even read, right? I was bad at reading even stuff, right? So when I would read stuff, my anxiety would go out of the roof. And as I find out in recovery today, that you know what I mean, I am an emotional individual, right? I thought I was only running on two emotions all my life, was anger and sadness, right? But I have a lot more of emotion today towards things I'm passionate towards, right? And that's recovery is one of my main passions because it's giving me a gift of life today. And as much as it's on life and life terms, it's still fucking tough, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. What's ever stuck between my fucking ears is the hardest part, right? So that's why I go to meetings. That's why I stay connected. That's why I keep in the middle. So.
Yeah, man. No, I totally identify with like that anxiety at the beginning. I felt like I couldn't read either. Like I remember being in treatment and like we had to do this like reading group where we'd have to read like, I don't know, like 15, 20 pages from the big book. And man, every time like people would be like, Josh, like you can only read one page, please. You know what I mean? Like, cause like I was just like so slow, so bad. And like I was just like trying to get like back to being able to read, but like I would be like, and Bill W said, like just like so fucking like slow, and people are just like, you know that guy that does that at like the meeting with the fucking cards and stuff. Like I was that guy for like 6-7 months, just shitting myself, man.
Yeah, well, it's even like when I first, like I've done the treatment thing twice, right? And the first time I ever went, I did the whole with my ADHD and OCD and everything else on top of it, my FAS and all the old vowels and everything else the doctors try to give me. The one thing I can't do is center down my mind frame to slow down when it comes to the point I'm being pressured in to do something, right? I have a hard reality of slowing down my reading. I'll read a sentence, but I'm already flipping to like 4 words before I even read it, right? So I'd always have to, like they would tell me, and it's something I always learned, and they've told me all in treatment, slow down and breathe, right? Because I definitely didn't live a slow lifestyle.
Yeah.
At all, right? I'm a all or nothing kind of guy. If you give me a dare to do something, I already flipping had it accomplished in my head, right? You challenge me, I flipping I beat that challenge, right? That's my adequate lifestyle of me not being enough. So I always had to prove to people that who I thought I was.
I think as funny as it is, it actually does help in early recovery when you're like kind of the guy that's just fucking out there, or like that stands out in some way, or that like you're like kind of like seeking attention when you get there, because like you just get known in the rooms, especially if you stick around a lot, like you, right? Like where you're at like shitload of meetings, even at like 3 years, like people just know who you are, know what's going on, like.
Well,
like, they know your personality and stuff.
Well, that's a big thing is that for me, like, and I always tell my sponsees, I tell my friends, right? If you don't speak to somebody about what's going on, nobody's going to be able to give you the flipping chance to help you, right? The quiet person never gets hurt, right? If I keep on answering the questions in between my own ears, I keep on getting the same goddamn answer, right? That's the toughest thing. is actually flipping playing somebody's suggestion. Right? Everybody has a whole bunch of suggestions in life, right? But if you don't take something from something and try it for yourself, you're never gonna find a new way of life. You're never gonna find a new way to go around that flipping trigger, or flipping try to make yourself feel better, or try to work on yourself, right? I've been working on myself for 31 years of my addiction. Look how well that turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hardly agree with that. I mean, that was kind of one of the things. I've been doing this podcast and trying to kind of read different articles and get different thoughts, right? And we kind of, because we're not strictly a 12-step podcast, you know, we hear from other people and we talk about stuff outside of, I mean, obviously a lot of our guests are coming from 12-step groups and we're in 12-step groups, so that's all pretty much a common thread of experience between people, but, you know, we'll talk about anything, you know, it's outside, like even Christine was saying, like mental health stuff, not really an outside issue because it definitely affects almost everybody who comes into recovery is probably struggling with some kind of mental health thing, right? And that's contributing to your recovery or to your addiction some way.
Well, it's even the point though, like even in recovery, everybody else stipulates like flipping drugs and alcohol, you know, it's a big problem, this and that, and we're defined as an addict. Well, where in life is there not one person that's an addict in one shape, form, or front of it? Where's where one person any different with mental illness? We're all mentally fucked.
Yeah.
Right? In society's world, it's just because somebody gives somebody a flipping label that they're normal. What the fuck's normal? Right? I'm proud not to be normal. I am who I am. Right? I tell myself all the time, take me as I am, get the fuck out of my way. But I'm going to be Troy Meaver today. Right? Because I don't know who I was for so long time. But I do daily morning affirmations. Right? I say 5 things I'm positive for in my day and 5 things I need to work on in my day. And that's how I lead out my door. Right? Because if I don't see the positives in my life, I'll keep on looking at the negatives. Right? Negative self, negative walk, negative talk. Right? I've been given a day, and so I don't take it for granted.
Yeah, I get stuck in that sometimes too, of just like looking at like the negatives and just focusing on it and dwelling on it like so bad. Like this week even, like on Monday, like I decided that I don't know, I've been struggling a lot with like school, like not like in terms of the course load, but just like the prospect of like having to do 2 more years of it. And I took like a year off this past year, and it just got to the point where I realized like I don't even want to be doing this. I felt like I just needed to, and I ended up just dropping and telling and like calling my parents and telling them before that and thinking that they're gonna get mad and everything, and they were like, yeah, like it's your decision, and like honestly we're not surprised. Like we were more surprised that you went back like than that you're giving us this call now, and it felt good, but for like fucking 3 days before I decided to tell them that, like I'm all in my head like, oh, my parents are gonna be so angry, like they're gonna yell at me and shit, and I just totally reverted back to a time when I was like 16, 17, living under their roof, and like, you know, if I said something my dad didn't like, you know, like might be fucking time for us to square up in the living room or something, right? Like, and it's like, it's totally not that relationship that we have now.
Yeah.
But just in my head, like, you know, when I get in that space, I'm like going to like this extreme world that like doesn't even exist anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Like shit that was normal maybe 10, 15 years ago. And I'm thinking about, you know, that's definitely what's going to happen here, and it's not, right?
Well, that's the thing about the gifts of understanding that though now. This is the point. Like I tell like myself, like, you know, I mean, when I get in my bad headspace, is like how you said, right? I got 2 years and 10 months in recovery, but I got 31 years of being an addict. What weighs out the odds?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I'm still gonna have those negative thoughts. I'm still gonna have my anger issues. I'm definitely gonna have those insecurities and intolerances, right? But the gift is knowing that if I can get through it before, I can get through it again, right? If I can do what I've done today, I can maybe do it again tomorrow, right? But if I keep on looking at the negative, I'm only gonna see negative. You know what I mean? Like, look at my gifts today, right? People like, oh, you know, that's a burden, this and that. I call it a gift. Because if anything in my recovery doesn't come with a little bit of fear-based and feeling comfortable, it means I'm not doing it right. Because anything that feels complacent and feeling comfortable means I'm on the same path of saying fucking, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? You know, I have to go through the scary stuff to find the growth, right? Like, I've done anger management, I've done intensive cognitive trauma therapy, I've done trauma therapy, right? I see psychologists, right? Because I know I need them, right? They're my medicine. They're like the rooms of NA, right? That's my medicine. I need to be in a room full of people within the same scenario that I'm in to know that I am a part of something bigger than myself. Right?
I think that's a part that gets looked over by so-called addiction professionals working in like a medical field or something like that. They just look at the biological aspect. Oh well, it's just this receptor that and like you're saying, like it's a way bigger part of that is not just the physiological aspect of it or the withdrawal aspect of it. It's this whole lifestyle and there's a mental and a psychological aspect that is not just going to go away with the withdrawal symptoms with any of that, right?
But it all manifests in different ways too. Like even with people like coming down like 30, 60, 90 days, right? Like that's why I like how the tags are all so close together when they're younger, because then you have something to look for, If I have 30 days, okay, I got 28 days. Okay, I can make it to 29. Fucking rights, I'm at 30. Right? That's how I kind of know my clean time. Mm-hmm. And then, like, even myself, like, when I got into my 1 year, I'm like, holy girl, I got to wait 6 months.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For my next tag. I'm like, what the hell? How am I going to do that? Right? But it's not me looking at from the tag for the gratification. It's the daily reprieve that gives me the gratification today. It's like, okay, I made it today. I didn't hit nobody today. I didn't even come out sideways on someone today. And when I do that in those days, I know the tools how to get through that and to say sorry and own my part. Right? I didn't own my part on anything in my life. It was your fault. You did it. Have fun with it.
Just
right?
projecting everything.
I pass it off all the time. It was the cops' problem why they pulled me over. It wasn't me. I was flipping doing a $120 down the road, drunk and high, and flipping swerving off the road. Right? Fuck! I got caught again. Right? It was never ever my own doing. Right? But when I look into my own doings, it's so easy to flip and disrespect myself and the life I was carried by the gifts I've been given. Like my family's always been beside me, but I always pushed my family away because I never thought I was deserving of them. Right? A lot of my family, they have they're calm, they're cool, they have the houses, everything else like that. And I always thought myself as a different person. I will never get that. I don't deserve that. Right? So that's depleting of self. Right? I never ever gave myself any gratification for the things I have gained or the person who I am today. So that's one of those main things I've been doing in my recovery. Right? If I share about where I'm at today, well, then I could carry that on until tomorrow. But if I push it aside and I start the day off in chaos, well, the rest of my day is going to be chaos.
Yeah.
Right? So first thing in the mornings, right, I get up, I open up the window, and I say I'm thankful for the day I've been given, because I'm not going to take it for granted. Right? Because we lose a lot of people to this addiction. Just myself alone, I've lost 169 friends. And people I've known in my life in 2 years and 10 months.
Have died from this.
Have died from this. Have died from addiction. I've talked to 11 people the night before they died.
Wow.
Right? So when you get that final affirmation, I'm okay, well, what could I have done? Maybe I could have helped somebody. Right? Then I have to look back, okay, but maybe I did help. Maybe I did have that chance of flipping saying this and that. But it never happened that way. I don't have the power over that. That's them. But I did get the gift to say what I had on my mind. I did have the opportunity to hear their voice. And I do have the honor to carry them with me every day, to know that I only have one goddamn arm length away of being in recovery or going back into addiction.
Yeah, man, it's always heavy, like, because I didn't really know anyone that died really before I came here. And I guess it's just I wasn't connected to that many people either, right? Like, I was just kind of fucking getting high in my apartment by myself. So it's like, unless I died, like, there wasn't anyone, like, close to me that, like, that I would have even noticed dying. But yeah, like, I remember in earlier recovery, like, two guys specifically, like, one had reached out to me from outside the rooms, like, and had asked me, like, he was a classmate of mine, about recovery, and I took him to a few meetings, and he got kind of, like, he got into it after, like, a week or two, and then I was like, look, man, like, it's great that you're coming, but, like, I don't drive, and, like, I can't get my buddies to come pick you up every fucking day, like, you gotta get connected with some guys in the rooms, and, like, or, like, get down there, like, your own, kind of, like, time to, like, leave the nest kind of thing. I feel like he felt like I kind of, like, slighted him, right? And then I found out, like, 6 months, 9 months down the road or whatever, that he'd actually died from an OD, and like, I really took that on, like, I had, like, maybe 18 months or whatever, and I was just taking that on as like, oh man, like I was able to like, pass the message to this guy. I got him hooked in. Like I felt like we kind of ended it on bad terms, and now he's dead. And like I was taking that on as like, oh, I fucked up. I didn't do my job. Blah blah blah. But yeah, it took a while, like probably 6 months for me to like, kind of come to terms with it, and like you were saying, like kind of understand that, maybe I did help him, and there wasn't any way that I was going to, make him want it anymore, right? Because at the end of the day, like I did what I could with him, right? And it wasn't mine to take on, right?
No. And that's the point, though. Like, I carry so much burden of everybody else's choices and feelings, and I put mine aside. Right? Like this year is a big year for me where I've, I like the attention seeking. I want to go to the room, try to be my friend. Placate to you. I'll pick you up. I'll say yes, yes, yes. Like my sponsor says, I'm a yes man.
Yeah.
Right. But then when you're gonna start to learn to say no for you, right? Like,
and not feel bad about it.
Not feel bad about it, right? And now I've got a lot of friends like, oh, you know how to say no now. I was like, you darn right I do, right? Because I have to take time for myself. I have to.
Yeah.
Right? I can't be up and everybody else is, going out to movies every Sunday and doing this and that, and a day on day just keep myself active with somebody else, because I'm really distracting myself.
Yeah.
Right? When I'm having a bad day, I have to honor that bad day. Right? I can't say, oh yeah, well, I'm just gonna, push that aside. Well, what's the one thing I've had wrong with all my life is stuffing my feelings, pushing everything around, and next thing you know, I go crazy.
Yeah, for me, that's when the resentments start building too. Like when you're the yes man and you're, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll chair this meeting for the 6th time this fucking month or whatever, right? Like every single week, 6 weeks in a row, or I'll do this or I'll do that, and then like you start building this resentment, even though you are doing like what you're supposed to be doing in a way, right? Like it's not like you're doing shady shit or bad things, right? No. But like, you start growing this resentment of like, well, why can't someone else open up, or like why can't someone else fucking do this or that, right? And then like, that's where, for about like 9 months of my recovery, I barely even went to meetings, because I just had this huge resentment of like, oh man, like it's kind of BS, like no one's doing their part, no one's pulling their weight, like I'm out of this, like this is BS, I'm not gonna be the yes man anymore. And then I focused on like the negative aspects of like the program and certain people, and just had all these resentments and like shit that like resentments of people that like literally just be like, yo, I hate that chick, like, oh, why? Oh, she said something mean to me when I was in treatment fucking 3 years ago, and like ever since then, never gonna fucking like talk to her ever again. You know what I mean? It's just
that's like, the thing though. Like, we're dealing with addicts. We're dealing with human beings, right? So as much as in the social media of things, right? Like for me, the biggest thing is fake, right? Like there's a big terminology of fake, but for me, it's where you're my friend in my face but talk shit behind my back, right? I do enough. I've been in trouble with my own name. I don't need anybody else spitting it.
Yeah.
Right? But the one thing is, to come to the point, if they're going to be wasting their air on me, well, hell yeah, go for it. You know what I mean? Because if you have to flip and say something about my life and pick and prod at wherever it is, I don't need to carry that weight of their decisions or their opinions anymore. Right? I do enough on my own. Am I okay with who I am today? Yes. Am I proud to be where I'm at today? Yes. Is the sun on my shoulders and I got friends that love me today? Yes. There's 3 yeses for me, not 3 yeses from somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's why, like bigger personalities end up prevailing over time in the program, because like they see guys that are out there doing all these things, and also that are super like boisterous or just open with their opinion and stuff like that, and that attracts people that are like minded, and like the people that don't want a part of that will just stay the fuck away from you, right? And then now you're surrounded by good people that are going to be like in your corner when shit hits the fan and stuff, right?
I have so many people in the rooms, and men and women, that tell me I'm intimidating.
Yeah.
And I look in the mirror and go, what the fuck is intimidating? You know what I mean? But it's the aura I carry, the pride I carry for myself, right? I'm an intense individual. I don't sugarcoat it. I'm definitely not going to beat around the bush about it. I'm not going to patty cake you on the ass and say, oh, everything's going to be fine if you do this. It's life. I had to get the rough version of flipping recovery for myself, right? It's either you try this out, or if you don't, you might die.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a good point right there. Is that you're a pretty intense individual, and like you were saying before, like I've been, like you said, it sounds like you got a lot of self-awareness today, and you're able to recognize this stuff, and that's from the almost 3 years of recovery. But as you're saying, I mean, you have 31 years of addiction to pulling you the other way, right? So I think we've been talking about recovery a little bit here. What did it start out like for you? Like what I mean, you're saying 31. Your addiction started 31 years ago. Like, what did that look like? Was it always were you always all or nothing? Like, did you know, like, kind of starting off? Or
I remember when it was like, because the lifestyle I lived up in, what I was raised up in, is like I always seen addiction as glamorized, right? People getting together, laughing, drinking, right? People getting together, quadding, fishing, drinking, right? And when I was young, I used to, I'd see them in LA. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, I go steal beer. I remember the first time getting caught getting drunk, I was 8 years old. Right? I'm 39. So if you want to talk about where it started at, you know what I mean? It starts, as I say, you're born an addict, you are an addict. I'm okay with being an addict, but I'm not okay with it for the process that my addiction took over throughout my life. Where addiction gave me the point to work on my insecurities with groups. Like crime, right? I've been stealing at a very young age, getting angry, right? My addiction manifests everything, right? I got into the point of not being able to control my emotions, right? I had a lot of problems with me and my mom. We moved around a lot when I was a kid, so I've always wanted to fit in, right? I'm an only child. My father was never a part of our life, right? So I've always looked for validation outside of the things I've been given, right? I was given the world, and it still wasn't enough. So my addiction always gave me that point of where I could get, okay, well, they're going to start smoking. Okay, well, I'll try it. You know what I mean? Anything to be a part of.
Right, something to prove.
Right? And then they lay along with my anger, right? My anger started at a young age. I was bullied through elementary at a very young age. My mom told me never to fight this and that. In grade 6, I got bullied by a couple of friends. And we were at a volleyball tournament, and we were on the B team, and they're the A team, and we beat them. And 4 of them put me in a locker room, and they started beating me. And then I came to the point of my first love, and that was rage. I snapped. I don't remember anything of it. There's 2 teachers on the floor, 4 teachers hold me down, broken hand, and 3 guys laying there in blood. That's the first day I knew that I can keep everybody at arm's length, and I can get my validation through anger.
Right, so that was kind of your sense of...
That's where it started.
Sense of power, just as much as getting a sense of power over your emotions from using drugs and alcohol.
I didn't have to show any other emotions, right? It's either flipping, okay, I'll be nice with you, or I'll fucking kick the shit out of you. Mm-hmm. There's no flipping sympathy, there's no flipping, empathy, there's no, my anger was sadness, everything was sadness, right? My sadness came out of anger, my happiness even came out of anger, because then I get validation from other people, protection. Right? Protecting others, I couldn't protect themselves. Well, I couldn't do it for myself, so why can't I just say, yes, I'll help you out? Right? At a very young age, I got kicked out of school because of my anger. Right? I started organized crime because of my anger. I got validated for that when I was very young. Right? And that's where, my anger is my number one addiction. And then I really realized that when I was in treatment, when I was actually talking to a cop. And he was talking to me about the same damn thing. He goes, but my inferiority complex is to the point that when I wear that badge, I have power. And my anger gives me power. He goes, so that power gives you that flipping shield over your thing, and I call it my armor, right? I put my armor on, I'm intimidating. I put my armor on, I can keep you at arm's length, right? But what I'm really doing is blocking who I really am.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Like, today people call me compassionate. Caring, loving, supporting. And it took me a long time to acknowledge flipping compliments in the rooms. And it still bugs me.
Right. But that's getting back to, and that's what's interesting, I think, is people being able to find their truer self, right? Yeah. And I think what's interesting for me is you read about how there's not just one model for an addictive personality. And you have people at both ends of the spectrum. So addiction apparently affects people on one end of the spectrum who are very sensitive, are very emotional, who have a lot of empathy, and then and it affects people on the other end of the spectrum who are actually very insensitive, almost a little callous. And what's interesting is when you're talking about, we almost start to use that being, like coming up young and being vulnerable, maybe not feeling part of, feeling insecure or whatever, and then finding stuff, whether it's certain behaviors or drugs or, like you said, anger or a combination of those to use, like you said, as an armor, as a way of masking and being able to accommodate those or cancel, or you're not really canceling them out because you're just you're suppressing actual feelings and your actual self, and then you're taking on this these essentially these defects and these
that's the thing though, right? Like it's that's why it's like at the beginning when we were talking about how people without addictions, about people with defects and stuff like that. Like we all have different problems, right? Just because we're shiny on the outside doesn't mean everything's all together on the inside, right? Like for me, like one thing I understand is like with the connection of for myself today is understanding that I was given a gift, right, of recovery. You know what I mean? I've been in some major accidents, right? I broke my C5 in my neck. I shouldn't have walked, right? Now I'm feeling good today, right? I've been beaten with an inch of my life, right? I've had some bad things happen to me. And then I started going on and go, like, why me? You know what I mean? That's where I was like, well, okay, well, if this happened, well, it's going to give me some, like, nothing can touch me. So I reaffirmed that I can't be stopped. So it got worse. Like when I was 26, when I broke my neck, I was off work. I couldn't do anything about it but sit in a chair. So my addiction got worse. I drank every day. I used every day, right? And then it just kept on manifesting in the mind frame. Well, you know what I mean? And then my best friend that broke my neck told me that when we were drunk one night, he's like, oh, because I didn't sue him because of the accident, because I thought of him as a brother. And that day it was a big trigger for me because he told me, he was like, yeah, if I was the one driving, I probably would have sued you because you can always find new friends. This guy was like my brother for 18 years.
Wow.
So you want to call about the case of the fuck it's and hard on self? Said, fuck you. Anything that he didn't like, I did it to extreme. And that is just another way to fucking deflect on what was going on, right? I'd steal off him, right? If I've been placated on other people, I'd be his friend in the front, but I turned into the society's bully that I was bullied with, right? That's where I've been realized, like I never knew until I went through all my counseling, is that I was actually I turned into the person that I hated. But I didn't hate myself. That's a sad part of it, right? I didn't care who I was. I didn't care for my actions. I didn't care for what society looked me at, right? If I didn't love myself, why the fuck would I give you the power to love me, right? My family is such a big supporter of my life. And today, I have my family back in my life, and I may be 18 hours down the hill. They live up north. They say I'm more of a family member today by the phone calls than I ever was at the doorstep 5 minutes away.
Right, being there, but not really there.
But I'm there today, right? Because they know I'm safe. I call on their birthdays. I do check-ins. I just call to tell them I love them. Couldn't have said that was me 2 years and 10 months ago, right?
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that a lot of people I see overlooking in recovery. It's to the point you don't acknowledge the work you're putting in, that you're giving freely to others. You have a choice to make that phone call, just like reaching out. I mean, before I came over here, I had 2 people call me, right? And there's some people call that a burden. I call that a gift, because somebody's asking for my opinion and my guidance on a scenario that they're having trouble with. As I get to do that for somebody else, and I do that with a lot of people, right? When this morning I called my sponsor right after area to talk about what this position I got put into, right? I'm terrified. But if I don't let the people know where I'm at, about what's going on in my life, and things start going sideways, then nobody's going to know why.
Yeah, so that kind of speaks to the importance of being of service, and then the nature of being supportive for other people, and the importance of that in recovery. But what was it? What I was gonna ask you is like, because you're talking about you're having some awareness, like when you're saying with your buddy, with the accident and stuff like that. Like, so that was what I was gonna ask you is like, was it the tuning up the volleyball team, or was it kind of down the road? Like, when did you kind of realize, hey, I'm a bit fucked? You know, like you said, you came to realize, well, fuck it. You know, I just don't care. But what kind of, was there a point where you realized like, hey, this is, whether it was your using or whether it was your lifestyle, that you're like, well, I'm fucked. I'm not like normal people. Like, did that come pretty early, or?
I didn't really know, because I thought everybody was fucked. Everybody I hung out with was fucked, right? My family was normal, and everybody, when I seen them go about their thing, how they could just drink occasionally and stuff like that, you know what I mean? I thought that was the normal, right? But with me, like, I don't know what normal is today, right? Like, that's where I'm still on the guidelines of, I don't know where it first happened or where it all changed, right? Because I still got the implications of all the stuff that I still has in my addiction, right? I'm just not picking up and using today, right? I still have my anger issues, right? I'm still the guy that if it gets cut off on the highway, if it goes down a block chasing them, and all of a sudden, oh shit, can't do that, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? I'm still that person, right? Or somebody getting up in tone, right? Or somebody cutting me off in a conversation, right? I need that validation to be heard first, right? I'm still that addict. So right from when I was very young, I always implicated one way or to the point, like, there's a code, right? There's a code of things. How you carry yourself is how you get respected. So at a young age, it's either you've been enforced fear or you get feared, right? I was always the guy that wanted to be the, shiny, nice kid, this and that. But every time I gave away my kindness, it got stepped on.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I had somebody flipping, say they're my friend, they did something shady behind my back, right? So I always at my young age, I can't even remember exactly how long, but I've always tried to look for some validation out of others, all my life, right? My mom worked 3 jobs, right? So I was raised by babysitters, right, and stuff like that. And then, like, I've had a lot of trauma since my youth, right? That's where, me and my mom getting abused by her boyfriends, right? Me getting bullied, if I've been clothes ripped off, thrown into a prickle bush with all my stuff stolen, right? If I've been, then it comes up to the same point I've been in the lifestyle today, right? Where I get some people even in the rooms today, where, they'll look at me a certain way, and right away I call it, I've been like, I go numb, right? Something will spark in me where I just go numb. And your brain packs all that stuff that's happened since my youth, right? Somebody raises up their shoulders and, kind of brushes off beside me, right? Right away, my inferiority complex comes up.
Right, that's a trigger.
That's a trigger right away, right? I come into the rooms, like my home group is like one of the biggest home groups in the rooms. At the beginning, I was sitting at the back of the room, and then my surveillance comes up. I'm watching people talk, I'm watching people put on their phones, right? My anxiety comes up. So how do I break that uncomfortability? Now I sit at the front of the rooms, right? I look forward. And then, of course, my anxiety spikes up even more because I hear everything behind my back and I can't even look at it. But that makes me try something different, right? I can still be the asshole in the back of the room saying, fuck off. Or I can be the guy up front and say, okay, let's try to change this behavior.
It does. And it does require a lot of courage to go forward, to move forward with that, knowing that, that's just a part of life. I remember the kind of being on a construction site, same kind of thing. You're working around certain personalities and coming to this realization that, like you said, part of life is, not everybody is going to be, have your best interest. They're not always going to be acting appropriately and stuff. And in some ways, you earn other people's respect and you earn it on their terms. Or like you said, you end up having to take your respect from people. Mm-hmm. But that, a lot of times, is probably, part of your experience. When you start taking that latter route of demanding your respect and doing things to take your respect from other people, it ends up kind of, a lot of the times, reinforcing bad behaviors and putting you, it can have the possibility of putting you around people who just are, breaking this kind of social agreement.
Well, the one thing I've had trouble with is, especially with big groups, it doesn't matter where you are in a large group of people, especially when it comes down to anything with interaction with others. There's always going to be groups. You know what I mean? Like in the rooms, you got your fucking little clique group over there. You got some of your guys over there, and everybody spreads out. There's this and that, and I've always like, okay, which group do I fit in, right? But by me standing back and really realizing today that it's not the ones that I want in my life, it's the ones that life has given me in my life, right? It's the people that actually will love me for who I am on my bad days and my good days. Right? I mean, I'm not the sugarcoating kind of guy, right? I'm intense. I definitely don't got a flipping off button when it comes to the things I'm passionate for, right? I have a very stern way about saying things. A lot of people is like, okay, way you say that, it's pretty aggressive. But everything I did was aggressive in my life, right? Everything came with one way. But remember, if I didn't say it, that means I didn't care, right? That's where I come with a lot of my friends, like with fear bases and stuff like that. I encourage people, right? But I'm pretty stern on encouragement, right? Like, well, fuck, well, if you're scared of doing that, well, how many times are you going to be scared before you try something new, right? If you can't walk through with the people beside you to encourage you to get through those fears, to try something different, to get on with your life, and always living in fear, that's no way to live, right? Like I have my biggest fear is intimacy, right? And relationships. Because every relationship I had was based on my addiction. Or who I was or who I thought I was, right? Now I'm turning into the man who I am today and I don't know how to share that properly, right? I'm scared that somebody's going to take my kindness for weakness and then that other side's going to come out, right? The Jekyll and Hyde of life, right? I don't know who the guy in the middle is still, right? But I'm accepting that I'm learning, right? Like, people love me for who I am. I mean, it's not for what I have, not what I drive, not what the ego I've been carrying, not what kind of shoes I got on. For me. They love me for me today. And that's the biggest gift I've ever got, right? Because I have people call me today, they say, I just want you to know I love you and I appreciate you. And I get to do that for them. And that's more powerful than any drug in the world.
Yeah, man. Something that's, like, been fascinating to me, like being in the rooms and doing the podcast too, is seeing like people like yourself, like that have kind of gone down the rabbit hole for, like you said, like 30 plus years, and like from an outside perspective, like just as a third party, it comes across like that you must have like a really high pain tolerance, and you must have like you're saying before we started, like you've broken like fucking almost every bone in your body, like you have a high tolerance for just like staying at like the bottom, or staying at like kind of like that shitty point in life for so long. Like it's always fascinating to me, like hearing the stories of those people, and then also like even like just knowing that at some point they knew that they had to get out of that. Like what do you think, well, one, what did you think was the thing that kept you out of recovery, or kept you out of like trying to get better for so long? Like, and then also like what was it that finally just made it click that like, holy shit, like I can't live my life like this any longer?
Well, like with me, like, I've had I was given a great life, and after I broke my neck, it got worse, right? It was just the point, like, I was only doing, hard drugs on the side, I was only smoking the weed and this and that, and then next thing you know, it was just to the point that I was getting validation from others for what I was doing and how I was carrying myself, right? And then I was in organized crime for quite a few years, a couple of decades, but I was placated as one way as looking like this guy that can get away with it, and then I was placated as a guy that fucking can do it. So biggest thing was me is my validation, right? My validation about who I thought I was and how I can get away with it. If there's a system out there to beat, I beat it. Yeah. Right? I'm an addict. I'll find any way to manipulate around the scenario, so it's not my problem, it's everybody else's. Right? Like, it's just one of those things for me. Like, I was a small community. I loved it. As soon as I knew I could hurt people fighting, I fought all the time. I remember I was 24 years old. I got in 176 fights. Marked on a calendar, like, with pride. Mm-hmm. Right? You want to talk about insanity? You know what I mean? both my hands and my knuckles are flat on my hands, not because I fucking do push-ups on the damn things. I'm stubborn as fuck. And I was going to die that way, right? I didn't care what my family had to say or whatever. Oh, yeah, it's fine. You damn right I'm fine. I'm frustrated, I'm insecure, I'm neurotic, and emotional, right? But my breaking point was to the point, like, I was in my addiction, and I went to go with my family business, and I was asking them if I can get a job, right? I was in and out, doing what I did, causing chaos, drama. If I've been using my house as a flop house, right? If I've been people using and building everything else in there, and I was okay with it. I love the sneaky, I love the deception of life, right? You think of me one way, but I was totally the other, right? It's like Mike was talking about, is the masks, right? I think the toughest thing all my life is I've been acting all my life. I've been an actor all my life, right? I'd act here for wants and needs. I'd act here what kind of, clothes I was wearing. Okay, I wear a tight button shirt to go golfing, but then I come home and put leather on, right? I didn't know who the hell I was, and I still have trouble with that today, right? But the one thing I've known is when my family asked me, do you want help in this scenario? Because the way you're looking right now, I wouldn't even hire you. You're skin and bones. You look like shit. We know what you're doing in our house. So we want to know, do you want some help finally? It's like, first time I ever did, I was like, sure. Let's try it out. So I went to treatment. I was gifted the life of treatment, which I'm very grateful for. But I took it for granted. Right? I went in, I did the surface level shit. I did the dance, I did the flipping writings. I woke up, I did the chores, right? But I didn't get into the point of what my addiction manifests on. My addiction manifests on everything outside my addiction. My addiction ain't a problem. It's a me problem. I'm the problem. What's stuck between my ears. My trauma. My intolerances. My frustrations. My insecurities. Right? It's all that stuff is what my problem was. My alcohols and drugs were just the one that keeps it at arm's length so I wouldn't have to pay attention to it. And mine was so bad that I had 31 years of not paying attention. Right? It just manifests worse and worse and worse. Well, hey, if I drink more, I fucking... whatever. Oh, I can't get any more? Go steal it.
Right? But to that point, I mean, the addictions, sure, it's within yourself, but at the same time, I mean, the environment and the behaviors is definitely going to reinforce it one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
What's interesting for me though is it's like you said, like, 'cause I think you had mentioned earlier that you're somebody who I think pretty much anybody in recovery suffers from some level of anxiety to some degree or another. But one thing that I was going to bring up is like, and I'm not sure how comfortable you are like talking about the organized crime thing, but when you're for people who maybe don't have any kind of experience or that's not part of their experience, right. I mean, when you're getting into fights or you're, getting into kind of stuff that might be involved in organized crime, like that's got to be raising your anxiety levels through the roof, getting ready to go, whatever you're gonna be doing.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, with the fighting and everything, it's a drug, right? The flipping crime was a drug, right? It's like it was just. I would I raise myself to the point of like it's like even when I talk about my anger and stuff like that, I get a euphoric recall from it, right? Like, and I call it the Gladiator, right? It's either you or me. That's how I see it. I'm a black and white kind of guy. There ain't no flipping silver lining in the middle of my decision. It's either I do it or I don't, right? And then when I got validation from what I've done through my organized crime and stuff like that, that gave me more power to flipping have these people look up to me for all the bad things I've done, right? So validation's been about the big defect of my life, right? But then it comes into self-centeredness, right? Then the self-reliance, right? Okay, I don't need your help, I can do this. And that's why I started flipping going downhill, is because I would start fighting the guys I shouldn't be fighting, right? And get my ass handed to me, right? Or I should go do this crime and go rob another lines and then getting flipping beat by the guys I run with. Right? I was just a pawn on the chessboard. It doesn't matter how big the scale is going. Everything I did there's a repercussion of it. But I didn't care about the repercussions. Right? I didn't care. Right? I lost all hope and faith in myself. In my addiction. My alcohols and drugs depleted me. Right? All I was worried about is what I can get, how much I can get for it, and what I can use after it.
Right. And also, I mean, you got to think that, because it's very clear that, like, obviously you're not a sociopath, because you're not, you know, a sociopath is not going to have compassion for people, or be willing to look at stuff like that. But being in organized crime, you're going to come across people who have, at the very least, antisocial tendencies. You're going to find people who are just, you know, their moral compass is severely fucked up. You know what I mean? And feeding into that, there's going to be like a disconnect between, you know, what's actually going on with your true self, and having to, this kind of like dog eat dog survival kind of mentality, just to be able to survive in that world.
Well, that's the thing though. Like, I don't matter like what, you know. As you said, sociopath with big labels and stuff like that. Like, I've taught myself through the life that I have a switch. It's either you or me. I don't care what it is. If it comes to the point you put something on my table to impact my life, I'm gonna bring it back tenfold for you. That's how I walked, right? I didn't care if you were a friend, foe, or whatever, right? But then it came to the point that when I did all this damage, I started finding that compassion and that understanding of what I've done, my applications I was doing, and it wasn't just affecting the person I was in, but the families and kids around them. That's what it got me. That's where I knew I was starting to flipping walk away from it, because it wasn't just flipping with scenario of just doing to one person that had the problem, so one person gets the action. And then I started realizing I was the same for myself, right? I'm thick-headed. I didn't see how much it really hurt my family, or how many fucking people around me and my friends. Right? My friends literally didn't want to be part of my life anymore because of the things I was doing. And I thought, okay, whatever, they're lost. I was the one that was losing, right? I didn't comprehend the things I had lost in my addiction until I got into recovery. And now my recovery is giving me a chance to amend my flipping things I did in my addiction and gain those family and relationships and friendships back, because of self-centeredness and egotistical lifestyle I lived, because I thought I was better than everybody else. Right? I don't need those people. These people over here are more important than you guys. Right?
Right.
My crime life was just crime. I didn't know any different, right? It's just like on flipping TV, how you see all these movies, this and that. I was like, oh yeah, let's implicate the drug lord as a cool guy, right? But I've seen this stuff all my life, so I was like, oh, right on. Well, that guy's getting more flipping goddamn, you know, money and getting more flipping attention because he's okay. I want that. I glorified that lifestyle, right? I was okay with being society's worst, right? And then I started realizing that, damn right, I lost all my I call it my codes, right? I lost all my strength, I lost all my honor, I lost all my integrity for the flipping life I choose.
And so and when you start to realize, okay, well, I need to change. Was there a lot of blowback trying to? I mean, it's not like somebody just, you know, using drugs at their office job or something, and then you're probably gonna have, you know, a supportive environment. I mean, you try and leave organized crime world, you know, the life. But is there a lot of blowback where you're like, no, I want to try?
I destroyed that a long time before I went to treatment. Before I was just a minimal guy at the end, right? I was just, you know, I was just doing things on the street. You know what I mean? I've been using my house as a chop up spot. You know what I mean? Any way I can get money to use, right? So I go, you know, selling or, you know, go stealing and stuff like that. But at the end, I was nothing more than nothing less than just a pawn on the chessboard, right? I indicated that it was probably about 10 years before I got into recovery that I didn't really want anything to do with anybody anymore. You know what I mean? I turned into be that guy with the curtains shone in your house, right? Flipping, get the addicts in the house, we all pitch together and we just use together, right? And then if I couldn't use, well, I'll go work for you for a little bit so I can get more use, right? Everything at the end of my addiction was just about using. Everything, right? If I couldn't get food, I'd go steal the food so I could steal the food, so I could sell the food so I could use. That's how it manifested me at the end. At the end of it, they've been, you know what I mean, I had to do a couple check-ins, make sure I was on right and narrow, right? I have friends and stuff like that there in it, but I told them, I'm no more, no less, right? I changed everything, right? I got rid of all the flipping things that triggered me on it. I moved away from the place I did the damage in, right? And everybody's like, what do you think, you can move back? I go, I don't know. But why would I change what I've been given? Because it's working so well for me here today. So why go test it anywhere else? right? And I commemorate the people that do get cleaned in the places that they've used. You know, and that's amazing strength, right? But for me, I'm not that strong.
There's just too many triggers, and there's too much.
I'm not that strong, right? It's a small town community, you know, a lot of isolation, you know, 8 months worth of winter, kind of shit like that, right? I don't see positives, right? I look out the window today, the sun is shining with green grass on the ground. They just had snow last night.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, right?
Hey, I'm okay.
Something to be grateful for sure.
Yeah, but like all of the gifts have come to me where I am just not trying to control the outcome, right? All the gifts in my recovery have come from somewhere I'm not trying to control. And I mean, I've been gifted the life of a recovery house, right? I've been trying to move out. I said I'd only be in there 6 months. I've been in there for 2.5 years. I finally found a place from a fellow in recovery. Then I'm moving out to my first place on November 1st.
Nice, man.
Right? December 5th, I don't do things in threes. I never have. School, works, anything. I've never done anything threes. Here I come up on December 5th. I'm going to do my first thing in threes, and that's going to be recovery. I'm changing that code. I'm changing that outlook. And I'm asking my family to come down so I can honor them with that. So they can meet my real family here in Nanaimo. So I get that connection of two things on two sides of the world. My recovery family and my blood family. And by both bringing that both together on my third year is where I get to implicate that, hey, I did this with the support of my the support of my family, and me staying in the middle.
Up north, like where you're from, do you have any friends that like have got clean or got out of that lifestyle?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I got a couple friends up there. I have a couple of buddies that did come down here to the local treatment center, and they went back home. Yeah.
And they're doing good?
And they're doing good, yeah. My buddy, he just got 3 years, and another friend got 5,
Nice.
right? But for, you know, and I can remember people that can do that, right? Move around and stuff like that, but every time I try to put myself, controlling myself in my direction, what I think I can do, like me, I worked in the oil and gas industry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, well, you know, I'm working at $19 an hour right now doing landscaping. You know, it's hard to live down here, rent and stuff like that, but I'm making it work. But I'll go work one winter and I'll go make 50 grand. Right, to come back and buy a house, this and that. Well, okay, think about addiction. I'm stuck in a camp with a bunch of redneck assholes, working 12 to 14 hour days and 40 below. Sitting in a camp with 1,000 people, flipping, drugging and using, or wherever else, or if not, sitting in the rooms. Mm-hmm. And then I'm gonna last out without any recovery, my friends, or any of the foundation I was built.
Well, and let alone the thousands of examples of guys that had that amazing idea that we've seen.
But that's the point, though, right?
You know?
Oh, but I can control that. I'm strong enough. I got this. All those false self affirmations that I've given myself before have never worked out. I don't got shit. I got today. I have my clean time on my cross around my neck with just for today, because those are the two important things in my life. The day I started this goddamn journey, and the day I be given to keep it going.
Well, yeah, and it's like if you leave here, go to the fucking gas station, scratch a nice little scratch and win 50 grand. Like it's not gonna, your life isn't gonna be more worthwhile or anything, or like, oh, this is why I got clean or anything. It's just gonna be, oh, sweet, I have 50 grand, and 6 months from now, that's gonna be.
Well, I manifest. I buy a lotto tickets. I'm like, holy fuck, what if I win all this? Like, what would it be like, right? And right away, I'm like, I called my uncle if I've been asking him to help me do his financial planning, because I'd be fucking gone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm an addict, man. Oh, yeah. I would go fucking right bonkers.
Well, there's a reason, like, almost everyone that wins the lottery is bankrupt within, like, 2 years.
But my addiction still manifests today, and, like, I've had to watch it. Like, when I was in treatment, I got stuck on gym restrictions because I'm the guy that the gym wasn't enough for me, so I'm doing push-ups and sit-ups in my bathroom in my fucking room.
Yeah.
Right? I still manifested here where I was doing 2-a-days, landscaping for 8 to 9 hours a day, and then going to the gym for 4 hours. Right?
Yeah.
And that's that obsessive. Do you think that was what I was going to ask you? Do you think it's the kind of the obsession to use things outside of yourself that's been the biggest struggle, or do you think it's kind of the defects and the anger that's been the biggest struggle, or is it a combination? You think they kind of feed them, or how do you?
I have to say my biggest thing for me is playing well with others and not taking on other people's shit. That's the biggest one. I placate for everybody else's feelings and put mine aside. Anger's a really big one still for me. Right? I mean, I've done 4 things of anger management since I've been in recovery, and I still know the same story. I am angry, right? But what am I angry about, right? Anger is such a big word. Now I use the tool of if anger is such a big word, what's anger? Like, am I frustrated on how somebody's driving? Am I intolerant on how people are acting, right? If I don't give it a label, I have nothing to work on. If I give it just the word anger, well, anger is a big fucking goddamn thing. So now I simplify what's going on, and what can I control, right? Their actions are theirs, mine are mine. So am I going to give my strength away to others to screw around with, or am I going to keep my strength for myself and advocate it to the people that give me strength to do what I need to do?
Do you find that it's like exercise and stuff like that is, because I think that's kind of seems to be a reoccurring thing with definitely a lot of men in recovery. I'm not saying that obviously women in recovery don't have lots of moments where they get angry too, but that seems to be a common thread among men coming into recovery is having these troubles with anger, and a lot of times these negative behaviors that are manifesting their shortcomings, let's call them, coming out of anger. And obviously probably one of the worst manifestations of that is violence, and that's a part of your story. I don't know if you want to or are willing to talk about like maybe some of the kind of stuff in your using that were pivotal moments, like violence wise.
Oh, violence wise, like the pivotal moments. If I've been anything in my using over violence, was to the point of getting what I want and how I have to get it. Right, I was at a young age, like I have a high pain tolerance. Right, I'm the guy that gets punched in the head and smiles. Right, like I'm the kid in the candy store when I get in fights. It's stupid. I don't know why, but it's that whole euphoric adrenaline, and rage. Everything just comes up. It's a drug. It's an absolute drug. Right. It's intimidation. It's a fear factor. It's all those things all combined in one. And then I look at it. It's just me and somebody else. But nowadays it's not me and somebody else. It's me and 5 other guys if it comes to it. Right. Like I put myself in a lot of scenarios where I've been beaten with an inch of my life because I went to go fight one guy and another 5 guys jumped on top of me.
Right, so it kind of started as, like you're talking about in the volleyball thing, where it started as a defense mechanism, but then it became, oh, this is actually something I like. I get a sense of satisfaction out of it. I get a sense of power out of it. So then it became kind of like a tool to feed your addiction. I guess obviously in organized crime, that's a big part of organized crime is using violence and intimidation to get your own ends.
Yeah, but it is like everybody uses. How can I say, violence, it could be verbal, it could be angry, aggressive, whatever it comes to certain people. But people, I say for myself, I act out in ways like if people are gonna get loud, I'm gonna get louder, right? I'm gonna get my point across no matter how I have to get it across. If I have to get it with my voice or with a memo on the edge of my knuckles, fucking stamping it on your forehead, I will get my point across. I'm thick. Right, I was brought up in a lifestyle with a bunch of people up north, and that's all we did. I even fought my best friends. We'd have arguments over if I've been simple things, and nobody win, nobody lose. So we'd just go punch it on the backyard and say, hey, yeah, great hit, man, good uppercut. Yeah, right on, let's have a beer. Right? We're thick. Right? That's the way we recalled things. We just fought. Right? That's just the way it was. Right? It's what I was brought up into. But it's not the way I was brought up into. It's the people that I surrounded myself into that. Right, my family never showed me wanted me to be violent. Right, my family showed me all the things that I was before my addiction, and my addiction and anger and all that manifested within me trying to control my way of life. I didn't do what suggest. I didn't do the school. I didn't go do counseling. I say fuck you, fuck off, and have a nice fucking day. Right, I was arrogant. Right, all my life. Right, my family would help me in these little areas, and I throw it away. Oh, I don't deserve that. Give to somebody else they deserve, right? Depleting of self. I never thought I was worth anything. I had people giving me comments. I didn't believe them. I didn't feel that way, so why should I believe you? Right? It was all is myself. And I hated myself. Right? I hated the things I did. And if I've been, and it's like, until the point my hate came into the point of fuck, whatever. You know what I mean? If you're not gonna hurt me, I'm gonna hurt myself. right? Self-mutilation, just a lifestyle I lived.
And I think that's what's interesting, and something that people will kind of come to the realization when you start looking at it, when you start kind of being aware of yourself, and you start working on yourself, is that a lot of that anger is coming from fear, coming from some kind of self-loathing, and using it as a defense mechanism to try and project it towards it. So can you talk a little bit about the process of starting to kind of heal that trauma and work forward to you know what I mean, to start to live in a new way of life?
Well, the one thing, like, I've had to walk through a lot since I've been in recovery, but the one thing I've really learned about for myself is the point when people get me, like when I get intolerant and stuff, or I get judgmental of other people, I have to resonate. Okay, one, why does that bother me so bad? And two, do I see a part of that I can own? Right? Why am I getting angry at what they have to say or what they're doing? Do I see what bugs me about that scenario? Right? Is it to the point that they're challenging me by arguing? Is it to the point that they're trying to be rude or judgmental? But then here I'm being rude and judgmental over their stuff, right? So I always see them with my anger to the point that I don't want to give it the time of day or the power for other people to implicate my actions, because I've been doing that all my life, right? I have a choice, right? I have a choice to do something about it, or I have a choice if I can do something different about it. Right? I could either, if I've been standing in the middle and be an asshole, which I've been called all my life, or I can step back and say, hey, that's your stuff, and I don't need to take that on. And then go talk to my support network. Go talk to my sponsor. Right? I got some amazing people in my life that they'll see me even before it happens. They'll see a body posture, or I go quiet. Right? Right away they're like, whoa, Troy, come here. We gotta talk. Right? Like, they're my safety net. When I'm not even I don't have enough safety in my own life. There's other people that I've walked through this stuff with that keep me safe today, right? And I've had to do a lot of work on it, right? I've done the anger management. I've done I do a lot of stuff. I still do, right? Like at the end of this year, I did two things. One thing of anger management, and thing of intensive cognitive trauma therapy, and I've been working on my steps. Right, but then all of a sudden I noticed that all the work I'm putting in, I'm not doing anything with it because I'm just adding more work. I'm really not centering on the work I'm doing for myself, because I'm an addict. I just want more. I want to fix it now.
Right.
If I do more of this, and I know I'm going to be fixed because they said so. Right. They put all these big fancy words in front of me and say, "Oh yeah, well you're progressively getting better." No, I'm not. I'm an addict. I'll be better within the actions I take in the day. But it's not going to be done overnight because I read a goddamn book and I did some paperwork.
And that's it. It comes down to the practical daily application.
So every day. I'll be fighting for my life every day. It don't matter if people are like, oh yeah, well maybe when you get 31 years you might have a win over your addiction. No, I won't. My addict brain still comes out. It still does today. I'm on my third cup of coffee already today. You know what I mean? I'll manifest one way or another, right? Food and women. Gym, don't matter, right? But if you're not aware of the actions you're taking, you'll have no way of changing that course, right? So you have to be aware, right? Like if enough people say that you're being a fuck up, maybe pay attention because you might be a fuck up, right? Remember, if they didn't say it, that means they didn't care. Or the way they said it, you may not like it, but hey, at least they said something. 3/4 of the world walks around with their mouth shut from watching society going by. Homeless people on the street thinking that they're any different than the person with a Versace suit on. We don't know their story. We don't know the way they had to walk or what they've had to gone through, right? Everybody's going to judge somebody over something. It's to the point if you step back and realize the judgment you give on yourself and you implicate it on others, that's your fault.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty strong message of empathy and humility right there. And I think that's an important part of having recovery as much as looking at the different bad behaviors is trying to reinforce those good principles, those good traits, like having empathy for other people and starting to, like you said, I think what it sounded like was that taking a step back and looking at the motivations and looking at the fears and the insecurities is like you said, you're not going to be able to go back to before you had the trauma. So saying, oh well, I get X number of years and I'm going to be good. No, it doesn't work like that.
No.
But
yeah, I used to think that all the time, like that I had 7 years out, and then maybe like after 7 years in the program, I could like, take a gap year or something, try it out, see what happens,
But that's the thing too, though, like, with myself, like, and I used to judge the people, at the bottom, as I see people on the streets and stuff like that. And, I got some friends that we get to lunches together and we go around and we hand them out. In my car right now, I got 6 brand new bottles of water, protein shakes, and if I've been gift cards for Tim Hortons, right? I won't give money, but I will give support. You know what I mean? Like, we have a chance to change our direction on the way we see things, right? But it's us to change. Nobody else is going to give me a flipping coupon and say, oh, here's your change ticket, your life's going to be better. You know what I mean? I have to put work in daily. You know what I mean? And not every day is a good day. But my toughest days are my best days because it makes me work on something I haven't worked on. Right? Fear was my deterrent of life. Now my fear is my growth in life. Because I don't see what the end game is going to be like. That scares the shit out of me. But I know if in recovery, if it doesn't feel uncomfortable, it means you're not doing it right because I'm not coasting. Right? We can get complacent in recovery, right? We can go to the same meetings, talk to the same people, and get the same scenario. But if I don't reach out to new people, reach out to new programs, and if I've been doing some different work, I'll never see something outside of what it is, right? We're addicts. We can still call the bullshit, right? We can still get people that placate us to say everything. Oh yeah, it'll be fine. Oh yeah, you'll be better tomorrow, right? I don't need that. I got raw people in my corner, and by me going through the process, I found real people today that know me better than myself.
I think that's an interesting point because there's kind of these two different schools of thought of, there's kind of a more therapeutic kind of counseling school of thought, coming out of like Rogerian therapy and stuff, where it's like you're supposed to be there and have nothing but the utmost understanding and empathy with the individual. But I think there's something to be said for, there are certain times, especially with people who are kind of hard cases, that old school mentality of like people just need to hear straight goods, need a bit of tough love, a little bit of militancy, can reach people who are the hard cases. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what your
but the thing is, like, we're all different people, right? So like the one thing I really had to work on is to the point I can't judge people for where they come from or where they at. Like the silver spoon addict or the flipping bottom feeding addict, right? Some people need a flipping nice hug and say everything will be fine. Some people like me need to be smacked in the back of the head with a 12x12 and say read the fucking thing, right? We can't pick and choose who it is. But if we don't try one scenario or another to see which one lands on which, you're never going to find out which path to take. Right? We're not all built the same. We're just in the goddamn same room trying to get the same experience, hope, strength, and courage. Right? But all of us can hear things differently. Right? But if enough people, if I always told myself, if take something from something and make it work for you. Right? I may not like the way they said it, but there's something in what they said that it has to be true because it's worked for them. So my judgment on saying, okay, whatever. You're not my type of people. I'm not going to fucking listen to you. That's my defect.
Right, having that contemptible attitude towards something that you need to hear, that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Well, right? I did that for about 6 months. Because I've gotten to that mindset of like, oh, I hate this sort of meeting, or this clique is out at this meeting or whatever. And I made a mission of myself to, like, I was going to like 5 or 6 meetings a week at the time, that 3 meetings of every week were going to be the meetings that I said I would never fucking go to, right? And I did that for like 6 months, just like, oh, I'll never go to this fucking Wednesday night, I'll never go to this Friday. And I just go, and like, I had to bite my tongue so much, and like, I'm like in my head, like judging people so much, and then got to the point where it was like, I could actually get a message from that meeting, from that guy that I like don't even want to fucking, I wouldn't even say hi to on the street if I ran into him, and it's like, I don't know. I think it's like you were saying at the beginning, like getting in that like comfortable, complacent, just like, oh, I go to like my home group every week and like, that's good enough for me. And, I have all the people just blowing smoke up my ass and I'm doing really good. Like gets you in that like kind of, like, it gets you into like the like kind of the thing they talk about in treatment, like the Johari window, where like you're not seeing the full picture because like you're just surrounded by, the people that that are gonna placate you and the people that know you, quote unquote. But like if you have other shit going on, or like you're struggling and you're not reaching out and you're in that complacent place, like they're not gonna really know like how to help you out, right? Like they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, Troy's here all the time, he's doing good, right?
Yeah, but that's the surface level stuff too, though, right? Yeah. Like everybody can walk in the fucking room with fucking clean clothes and a fucking nice jacket, and like, oh yeah, you're looking good. Mm-hmm. But if I don't say what's in my mind to tell people what the hell's underneath that, to let them know I'm not doing good, I'm never gonna be hurt.
Yeah.
Right. I can have 5 showers five showers a day, and if I can think I'm clean as shit. Yeah. If I don't put the work in, I ain't cleaner than any was the night before.
Yeah.
Right. It's a dirty world, and it definitely is between my ears when I keep it to myself. Mm. Right. I still have really bad implications. I really have bad thoughts. Right. You know what I mean? I'm hard on self. I'm that guy. If I've been, oh my God, working for $19 an hour, I should be doing this. I know I can get that. Mm-hmm. Right? Wanna, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Mm-hmm. Right? I have a job today. Many people don't have jobs today. I have a roof over my head. Millions of people don't have roofs over their heads. I have food in my fridge. I'm grateful for that. I even have a fucking toilet that flushes. Fucking hallelujah. Mm-hmm. Right? There's a lot of things that we implicate in our life that we think we deserve. Then you can think about the people in the world that don't even have even one thing of what we have been given today. Mm-hmm. Right? I have to step back and stay in the gratitude, not the attitude. Right? Because I'm one of those people that think, it's never enough. I'm a never enough addict. Right? But like even today, you know what I mean? You guys asked me to come over and talk about some of my stuff in my recovery. That's a gift. Right? But it took me goddamn fucking 4 weeks to convince myself to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't think I have a message to be heard.
Yeah, I get that.
Right? But if somebody sees that in me, then why can't I see that in myself? Mm-hmm. And if I don't, and as much as I say stuff like this at meetings and at treatment centers, now I have an opportunity for it to go elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So maybe something that we all talk about here, or something like gifts you guys are giving right now, somebody might help somebody. Yeah. It might change their thought. It might give them a different direction. Might put a smile on their face and let them know they're not alone. Right? That's not our power. That's not the power. It's our power to be given to people that give it to us freely. Somebody give it to us, now we get to give it back.
What's your take on, like you said, you had a couple buddies back home that are doing well, and yourself, but like you also said, you know a couple hundred people that have died from this addiction. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing quite a few of them are back home. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing you probably know quite a few people back home that are still living that same lifestyle and on that same trajectory. What do you think sets, like you and your couple buddies apart from like those addicts that don't make it, or the addicts that will never really like kind of like look at it or just continue down that path?
Guidance.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't know anything about recovery until my family gave me the opportunity, right? I'd seen the commercials and I thought it was like all kumbaya off. I've been calling cult shit, right? And then it was just, I never knew about it, right? And then once I got a little guidance to see the better part of my life, it came in with honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, right? It's a how, right? I have to be willing to keep on moving forward, right? I can't give up on myself so easy, right? And when I do give up on myself so easy, I have my people to lean on that help me get me back on track, right? That's the only thing I, like, even with my friends up north and stuff, like, they tell me all the time, you know what I mean? Like, them going to meetings, right? Seeing the people that they've been really, really truthful with, right? They built that foundation. Maybe one day I will be that guy going up there, right? But as I know for myself, I need to stay here. You know what I mean? I want to go home. You know what I mean? I have a lot of family things coming up. My mom's, suffering with dementia. You know what I mean? I don't know how much more time I'll get, right? But my mom knows I need to be here because the only thing the mother wants is her son to be okay. Mm-hmm. And I get to be that son today that actually cares about what my mom feels, And I don't have that worry on her wondering if. Because in my addiction, I placated her. When I flipping got out of treatment, I went back home. And I placated her disease to get my addiction. I stole money off my mom and said that, she must have forgot. I'm that ruthless addict. And that's part of my step one every goddamn day. I'm that sick. Right?
Yeah.
I don't need to be that person today. Right? And I need to honor them by staying in this goddamn program for the power that it's given me to be a better man and be open and honest about that. You know what I mean? I'm honest about that today. Because I'm not scared of the power it has been given me. It's what's taken away from me. Right? Recovery's given me everything more that I thought I never deserved.
That's heavy, man. Like, I was gonna ask, like, when your family like turned you down from getting that job and said that you should go to treatment, like that was when I first met you, and that was your first time in treatment, like 4 years ago ish, around. Yeah. And then after that, I remember you were doing good and whatever. I think I just left treatment or around the same time. I think maybe you just got in when I was like leaving, kind of thing. But I know I met you when you were in there. And then I remember you had gone back home and then subsequently relapsed and ended back up in treatment. Like, how soon was it, like, when you got back? Like, because did you go straight from treatment back home?
I went back. I told everybody I was going home to get my dogs and my stuff, and I'll be right back. Yeah. And 2 months later, I was back in treatment.
Yeah, and then when you got home, it was just immediate, like, right back at it, or?
Right back at it. I actually, I got caught up in other people's stuff. My ex-girlfriend at the time, put me in trouble with the people I was running with. And I got implicated. I had to go back and pay for it. I had no money. So I was doing the double-sided life. I was working for the family during the day and doing shit at night. Yeah. And then trying to keep up appearances and fake it and everything else. And then at the end of it, my relapse was 1 month out of the 2 months I was there. And it started off with drinking. You know what I mean? Like they say in the thing, alcohol is drug, period. Damn right it is, right? And to the point that me drinking was just not enough. Then I started smoking the weed, and then that wasn't enough. Next thing, fuck, one won't hurt. And like now when they say in the thing, once too many, 1,000 is never enough. I say at the end, after it says never, I say never again. Because I know it's never enough. I'll never be content in my day with who I am. As soon as my drugs and alcohol have a touch of my life, I'll never ever be the same. Right? It takes full control of me. I'm never happy. I'm never flipping. Right? It's never enough. I'm not high enough, not drunk enough, I'm not flipping good enough. It takes all the implications of the peace in my heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says a lot too, like what you're saying about being an actor your whole life, because like there's the few guys, or like more than a few guys, that have that, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go back to where I'm from and just grab my stuff, and everyone's just like, oh man, this fucking guy, like, oh, come on, like you're rolling your eyes, you're like, oh yeah, okay. But like for you, like it was actually a surprise, like you like for me, I was like, oh yeah, he's just going to go get his stuff, and we'll see him back soon, and I remember not seeing you around, and I think I was at like an alumni meeting or something, and I see you there, and I'm like, oh, how's it going? I thought you're there as an alumni, and you're like fucking 2 weeks back in treatment, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I think it does say a lot to hiding behind those masks and really like being able to con like a room full of con men, right? Because like when we're in treatment, like and the counselors too, even like for you to kind of pull the wool over like that many people's eyes when everyone's trying to fucking play the same fucking game, right? And run the same scam. It does say like the depth of the deception, even to yourself. I'm sure. I don't know if that was like something that you had planned, or if you'd really like actually thought like, yeah, I'm just going back to my things.
No, I thought I was just going back to get my stuff. Yeah. But then I was like, okay, maybe I'll give it a chance, right? And then like that's the main thing for me is like, I thought I'd give it a chance, but as soon as I went back to the same thing. I went back to the house that I fucking used as a flop house for 2 months. Yeah. For 2 years, right? Holes in the walls, right? Like my one biggest guilt is to the point that, I didn't really understand the change everything, right? I thought I could, make it work, and then I'm strong enough, this and that. I'm weak, especially when it comes to things for me, right? So I have to start leaning on others. Like I had to learn how to, like they say, learn to love, learn to love from others to learn to love yourself. I had to ride that. I still do, right? But now I have the implications to share that love. I get to share that empathy, and I get to be that support as somebody's given to me. But it wasn't just given to me overnight, right? I had to work hard at what I've got in my recovery, right? But if I can put 10% of my fucking goddamn, what I did in my addiction into my recovery, I know I can do this. Because I did a lot worse shit in fucking goddamn addiction than I ever did in my recovery, right? It's just the stuff that's between my ears is what kills me, right? Like I get depressional thoughts, right? My triggering dreams, they're nasty, right? They're absolutely nasty. I have to wake up and look out the window and make sure I'm in a Nanaimo sometimes, right? I still go through bad things, right? But then like I said before, I've been in recovery for 2 years and 10 months. I've been in that for 31 years. What weighs out the odds? Easy does it.
Yeah. So, and I mean, like, that was something I was going to ask was, what do you find is your biggest struggle, like, today in your recovery? And like, what are your, like biggest triggers, like, day to day? I mean, is it like just dealing with people at work? Is it just kind of, like you said, your own, just kind of being alone with your own thoughts, or?
Entitlement. Thinking I deserve more than I do. Right? Thinking that I do more work. I do such a good job that I should get paid more. Or that you know what I mean? I help so many, so why can't I get the help? Right? Or, you know what I mean? I want this, but I don't have the money, so I can go get it. Right? I still have those thoughts of, you know what I mean, like of, criminal stuff, right? I've done it before, but, why can't I do it now? Right? Depleting of self. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's riding around on nice Harleys and shit. I want one back, right? But it's just not my time, right? Because I'm not going to take it. I'm going to earn it. I'm going to earn respect. I'm going to earn integrity. I'm going to earn honor, right? And by me being willing to understand that I'm okay with who I am today, gives me the strength of doing that. Because I'm not known better than anybody else walking up and down the street, or the man sitting there with a homeless sign, or the guy driving a Maserati. I am just me. Right?
Well, and it takes a lot of people out, like that mentality of, oh, I got a few days under my belt, like I need to get all these things. I need to fucking have the job, I need to have the girlfriend, I need to have the house, I need to have the car. Yeah. Like, and you're sitting there and you're looking at a guy with, it doesn't even matter how much time, right? Like, it's like, if it's, like you said, if it's not your time, it's not your time, right? Like, and you're gonna feel way better having earned it and being, like, stable than fucking busting your ass and doing shady shit and cutting corners and getting it fucking 6 months or a year earlier, right? And, like, looking over your shoulder, like, in case, fucking the repercussions of your actions catch up with you, right?
Well, the main thing, too, though, like, in early recovery, I'm like, oh my god, this takes so long to get to my 30. It's so long taking to my 60.
Yeah.
Like, I'm coming up on my 3 years, for fuck's sakes.
Oh, it feels like nothing.
It's like nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, holy shit. And then, like, I literally, when I come up in my 2 years, I'm like, I gotta wait a whole fucking year? Oh, I can wait a whole year, man, because now I'm already ready for this one to be done so I can see another year.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's that anticipation, the anxiety of it, right? The high standards, right? The wondering ifs, right? I can process a whole lot of different shit between my ears. I don't mean a goddamn thing when it comes down to it, right?
I was thinking about that today because, like, I'm coming up on 4 years and I moved into the place I'm living at now, like a different sober house, after my 2-year cake, like the day after, and it doesn't, like, I always feel so weird when I think about it because I'm like, holy fuck, I've lived half my recovery in this house, and it feels like I've like, and I told the guy, oh yeah, I'll be here maybe 2-3 months, probably try to get out by Christmas, and like, it's been fucking 2 years, half my recovery at this house, and I get in that kind of mentality of, I should be out of a sober house by now, and you talk to people, and they're like, oh, you're still at that sober house, it's like, yeah, but like, it's like, that's, for me, it works, right?
Yeah.
And I think part of it is a little bit of like a fear-based thing. I don't want to really live by myself because, like, last time I did that didn't work out well. But you know, it's a safe place for me to be, and it's, you know, it's my home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's the thing, like, where I'm at. Like, I've been in my sober house, right? Like I said, it's 6 months, and next thing you know, it's 2.5 years, right? Like, it's coming to the point that I'm getting complacent with my recovery. You know what I mean? As much as I'm helping the new person in the house, and I'm, you know, trying to get structure, and, you know, we're doing our meetings and there's accountability and stuff like that. But I'm really regressing myself in my own growth, right? But I'm not moving in on my own, right? I'm moving in with a buddy that's in recovery. You know, we're gonna sign a contract together. We're putting stipulations, all the stuff I was taught, right? You know, you use your out. You know what I mean? This is your chore list. You know what I mean? No noise after 10 o'clock. Have respect for other people's stuff, right? It's not just flipping, hey, welcome to the house, let's have some fun, right? There's stipulations, there's guidelines, right? And I wouldn't have got that if I wasn't in that sober house, right? But I can't stop myself from flipping the man who I am and what comes in my life, right? Like, I'm renting from a guy in recovery. The two people that live, like, it's a basement suite, and the two people that live upstairs are in recovery, right? If you come down to it, I'm in recovery, so why not stick around recovery?
Yeah,
right?
for sure, man.
Because I don't associate myself with anything outside of recovery, right? I can't, right? Because I'm the addict. I'll manipulate the shit out of the scenario, right? Fuck, one beer, one drink, blah blah blah, right? I already tried that theory out. Look how well that turned me out. Like, I was in and out of consciousness in my uncle's office, and he told me, what do you want us to do? Just let you flip and die, and we're gonna cut you out of life and let you die. As I'm sitting there watching all my family members flipping crying, getting mad, this and that, I go back to my house to go flip and go back to treatment. The last thing I ever did to my dog, and still one of my biggest guilts, he wanted to get some love. I kicked my dog out of the way because of my shame. And that was the last flipping goddamn notion of love I ever gave my dog after 15 years of my life. When I was in treatment, my family had made the choice of giving my dogs away, because I needed to flip and get a fresh start on life, and I used them as my out the first time. I had resentments on that, but then I came down to the scenario of talking through it, is knowing that my dog's got to go to a home where somebody can be accountable. My oldest dog, Harley, was 15. He gets to retire with family and love beside him. And I got the chance to do something different, right? So I turned that resentment into appreciation, that my family actually took something out of my life to make my life better. But by making my life better, they made theirs too.
Yeah, wow. That I think that even speaks just to kind of like what you're talking about, just the sense of humility and entitlement, and how we use outside things like status, like money, relationships, for a sense of validation, and not really looking at what's going on with us, and trying to build our own personal growth, and having that as the cornerstone for our recovery.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though, right? I'll always surpass everything that's been freely given to me, because I never flipping got to see the good out of anything, right? I have an amazing family back home. You know what I mean? Amazing family, right? And I took that for granted all my life, right? And then when I come into recovery, I'm getting the ones, oh, maybe I should do this, doing that, right? They know I'm better here than I ever was up there. I'm more of a fucking cousin today. I call every time I even know it's my family's birthday, I call them every day. If I think my mom is doing, I think of my mom, maybe I'll just call my mom and tell her I love her. Maybe I'll just call my uncle and say I appreciate you, right? I have that choice. I have a choice to fucking get off my ass in the morning and go to work. I have my choice to fucking pick up the phone and reach out. I have my choice to say, yes, let's come over here and let's do this podcast. Life's a choice. Just fucking start picking the right ones and fucking goddamn ask some questions about what your thoughts are on them. Right? It's a simple fucking life, but we can complicate the fuck out of a simple thing. I'm an addict.
So yeah, man. No, I think that's a good place to like kind of shut her down for today. Hey, I mean, your back probably fucking hurts. You've been standing for like 15 minutes now, eh? And he's got to go to the bathroom.
Fucking right, I do.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to plug? Like maybe like social media or anything like that, or anything like that? Like we.
What do you mean?
Like if you want someone to like reach out to you like on Facebook,
Yeah,
Instagram.
well, yeah, you know, my name is. I reach out to a lot of people. You know what I mean? If you see a post or something, I'm on Facebook. Troy Meaver. I don't know if you guys want to talk or anything. Respond to this podcast. I mean, get a hold of somebody or something. But remember, stop sitting in your shit. If you keep on sitting in shit, it's still gonna smell like shit. So get out of fucking work. Remember, it's just the day's been given, so don't take it for granted. Do something for yourself.
True that, brother, man. Yeah, so we also have our podcasts on Instagram, SoundCloud, Facebook, all under Highly Addictive Podcast. You can check us out on our Facebook page or any of those other places. If you want to email us with questions, comments, concerns,
or if you want to be a guest on the
or
podcast.
a guest or a sponsor, we're still looking for that nice little
Need a new sponsor?
vape sponsorship.
Oh yeah.
Cimatech, get at us, you know.
Give some money, Cimatech.
Yeah, you can email us at highlyaddictivepodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, we're gonna be dropping every Monday. So guys, keep up the support. Recently, we just looked at. I just looked at the page. I think we're at like 120 followers, which is awesome. Like, thank you guys so much for listening, and it's really been a ride so far. And we want to keep putting out this good content. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, questions, we really want to get that Skype call set up too. So like, if you're not from around the Nanaimo area and you want to reach out. Feel free to drop us a line on Gmail and we'll figure it out. So yeah, it's been the Highly Addictive Podcast, and I think it was a really good one. Mike, do you have anything you want to say?
No, I'm just I wanted to thank Troy for being on the podcast, but he's taking a piss right now. So.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that, and thank you guys so much for listening.
Peace.